Kingston, Ontario. It was the first capital of the province of Canada and is located on the northeastern shores of Lake Ontario, where it flows into the mighty St. Lawrence River. The Great Lakes Museum is located here with its magnificent 1907 built centerpiece, the former Canadian Pacific steamer Keewatin. And just a few blocks east, Kingston's main waterfront is home port to a unique cruise ship, and the star of this decked video, St. Lawrence Cruise Line's MV Canadian Empress. You can drop off your luggage here, but before we go aboard, let's congratulate the ship and her crew for being awarded the 2025 Ship of the Year by the Steamship Historical Society of America. Now celebrating its 90th year, the SSHSA is a nonprofit dedicated to the preservation of the history of engine-powered ships. There are many benefits to membership, and for more info, please click at the link at the top of the page. Linking Lake Ontario with the Atlantic Ocean throughout the early 20th century, steamships like the Richelieu, Quebec, and Kingston were celebrated fixtures along the St. Lawrence and Saguenay Rivers. By the mid-1960s, due to the highway, airplane, and new safety regulations, all of these ships were gone, but not forgotten. In 1979, Bob Clark, a local entrepreneur, decided it was time to build a new overnight cruise ship on the St. Lawrence. He contracted with the German and Milne Inc. marine architectural firm in Montreal to create a replica St. Lawrence steamer drawing on the year 1908 and numerous but not one specific vessel for inspiration. Known for building small tour boats, the Bygone shipyard in Gananoque is some 18 miles east of Kingston. Construction on hull number 45, the Canadian Empress, began in November of 1980. By September of 1981, to clear the hull for launching, timber framework had to be removed from the slipway. When it was time, Myrna Clark, the wife of owner Bob Clark, named the ship by breaking a bottle of champagne across her bow. It took 2 tries. Ropes securing the hull were then cut, and the newly named Empress began her gradual descent. But at the last minute, when it was realized a shed overhang was in the way, crew cleared it with a chainsaw and some well-placed chops. For Bob Clark, it was just another bump in the road. But the next challenge would prove a little trickier. Just before touching water, the Empress ground to a halt on the slipway. With the harbor filled with onlookers, the launch was suspended so divers could check for obstacles. Once cleared on the following day, September 6th, with the aid of the tug Longsalt straining at maximum horsepower, the Empress completed her transit into her freshwater element. For the next 9 months, the fitting out process took place. At a nearby dock, spectators witnessed a parade of workers installing navigation gear, paneling, fixtures, and furnishing to the Canadian Empress, which was christened in May of 1982. On aft St. Lawrence deck, you can find a commemorative plaque with the ship's invocation. In order to transit various locks in the St. Lawrence system, the ship's dimensions were limited to 108 feet long by 30 feet wide and a draft of 4 feet 9 inches. She measures 463 gross tons, carries 66 guests and 14 crew, and she's powered by Volvo diesels that drive twin screws at a 12-knot service speed. Now into her 43rd year, the Canadian Empress has taken tens of thousands of guests on scenic and historic cruises along the St. Lawrence and Saguenay Rivers. So let's head aboard and have a look at this 3-deck dreamboat, beginning at her uppermost level, Sundeck. sun deck begins with an observation terrace overlooking the bow, with narrow promenades on either side that lead aft and up a few steps past the wheelhouse. For navigation and safety reasons, the ship does not have an open bridge policy, and guests are not encouraged to linger here, but at the end of each cruise, there is usually a bridge tour. And while it may look a little old-fashioned, all this equipment meets the latest safety standards. Just aft of and above the bridge, there's a nice awning-covered seating area at the base of the funnel. And yes, that's a genuine steam whistle that's been modified to work with air pressure, and the funnel can collapse to clear low bridges. Right behind the funnel, there's a full-size shuffleboard court. On either side of the shuffleboard court, there's seating to take in the passing scenery, and reclining loungers line the court itself. There's also more seating on the fantail, with views over the ship's wake. The next lower level, Ottawa Deck, begins at the wonderful awning-covered forecastle, where guests can perch themselves at the bow as it cuts through scenic waters. A staircase here leads up to the sun deck terrace. Just inside, a central alleyway leads aft past 8 Ottawa category staterooms to the Grand Saloon. Cabin 35 is one of 2 forward cabins with a double bed and a single window. Cabins 32 and 33 have 3 windows and a twin configuration, while the remaining cabins have 2 windows and twin bedding. While they are small, this is a small ship after all. The cabins are well designed with plenty of storage space, en-suite sinks, and bathrooms with showers that are curtained off. Continuing aft, we enter the multi-purpose Grand Saloon that can accommodate all guests in one seating. Picture windows on either side provide splendid views, and the ceilings are genuine Victorian-style molded tin. Up forward, there's a buffet counter with coffee, tea, snacks, and punch available throughout the day, and a small library is just inboard with a book selection that even includes an ocean liner staple or 2. There's also a detailed model of the ship, which was built by Robert W. Preston, on display. The bar is trimmed in darkly stained maple and brass and has a counter that seats 4. The Grand Saloon is where passengers are welcomed by the officers and staff. It's also where the mandatory safety drill is held and where guests can enjoy a game of chess, bridge, various board games, or a chance to just sit and watch the scenery float by. So by now you've probably figured out that if you're looking for big casinos, flashy entertainment, water slides, roller coasters, and pool games, this is probably not your kind of ship. However, there are engaging activities like passenger bingo and low-key evening entertainment like a magician, say Chris Pillsworth, or musicologist Teal Hard Frost, or even the dulcet sounds of the Michael Myers Trio. Due to YouTube copyright laws, I can't use the audio here, but these guys were great and kept the dance floor packed. And now, as the staff gets the room ready for dining, let's talk about the meals. Tables are set with flowers and nicely folded linens. Breakfast includes a selection of yogurts, cereals, fruits, and daily specials like Eggs Benedict, cheddar scrambled eggs with Canadian bacon, buttermilk pancakes with American bacon, and omelets with sausage. Hearty lunch entrees range from fried fish to lasagna with garlic bread, chicken with coleslaw, and burgers. Vegetarian and gluten-free options are also available. Lunch desserts might include apple pie Canadian style, pecan pie a la mode, and brownies with melon. If guests aren't ashore on tour, there's an afternoon tea at 4 o'clock, and of course, an elegant full-service 3-course dinner each night. And I should mention that wine, beer, and soft drinks are included with lunch and dinner. Well, actually, on the first night, dinner is set up buffet style with prime rib, but every other night it's full service. Starters might include seafood cocktail, mushroom soup, fresh salads, and marinated veggies. Main courses might range from chicken marsala with rice to turkey with all the fixins and salmon and dill sauce. And perhaps something a little sweet, like cheesecake with blueberry sauce, apple crumble a la mode, or black forest cake. Another favorite spot, the aft observation deck, wraps up this level. This is a nice sheltered space to catch up on a good read in the fresh air or watch the passing scenery. Vintage touches include a brass lantern, an old Canadian post box, and 2 beautifully polished spare screws that are interesting focal points, while the working ones churn up a mesmerizing wake a couple decks below. And now let's continue down to the bottom passenger level, St. Lawrence deck, where a central passage links 24 staterooms in 3 categories. Up forward, 2 premier staterooms are the ship's largest, with a double bed and a settee that can convert into a 3rd berth. Like the premier category staterooms, 22 and 23, which are St. Lawrence category, have 2 portholes. They also have slightly larger bathrooms with a small settee. And here are 2 more typical St. Lawrence category staterooms with twin beds and 2 picture windows. Our cabin, number 11, had an ensuite sink, a tall closet for hanging pants and shirts, plenty of shelves and drawers, and room under the beds for our suitcases. There is a toiletry cabinet with a mirror, individually controlled air conditioning, and a speaker with volume controls for announcements and piped-in music. And yes, the bathroom is tight, sort of like a European ferry with the curtained-off showers, but everything functioned well, and the shower had a massage head. Overall, the space was limited, but we were impressed with the design and the functionality of these little staterooms. On the starboard side, there's a purser's office and a shop. And a little farther aft, stateroom 8 is one of 4 with an unfolding 2nd berth that can be sold as a single at 150% of the standard fare. And we'll conclude in the aft corners of St. Lawrence deck, where 2 Sterling category staterooms have no less than 6 picture windows. Well, now it's time for us to head ashore and watch as this little Empress sails off on her next adventure. The Canadian Empress is the perfect antidote to the crowds and hustle of megaship cruising. She's an informal, friendly little lady who captures the essence of what river cruise ships were like in a more genteel era. For more info, go to stlawrencecruiselines.com, or if you're looking for a fantastic tour cruise combination, check out uncommonjourneys.com. And for small ship cruising in general, go to quirkycruise.com. As always, thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed this latest act from Midship Cinema.